Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Pits of Metal Chaos. This is your host, Dave. I got online special guest, Dylan Rose from Archer Nation, currently on tour with the legendary Anvil. How's it going, man?
It's going great, man. Thanks for having me.
No problem, man. So how's the tour going with Anvil, man?
It's going good, man. We're 4 shows in. Did 4 days in a row and then got 2 days off to drive from northern Michigan to Virginia and then pick up again tomorrow in Richmond, and we go on until the end of April. So, and all the guys are really cool, man. We're having a good time.
That's awesome to hear, man. So, yeah. So give me a little bit of history of the band Archer Nation, man.
Yeah, sure. In one form or another, it dates way back to when I was in high school years ago. Started a band with a couple friends back in my hometown of Santa Cruz, and it kind of evolved from there. I would say that this sort of iteration of the band, this lineup and everything really solidified when I started playing with David DeSilva, who's been on bass for the last 9 years, and then our drummer Kaon's been with us for 5 years now. So and we have 2 records under our belt with those guys. So I would say that that's probably, where I kind of draw the line in terms of how this band is viewed. And it's just been evolving ever since, just continually trying to build the brand, touring a lot, and having fun doing it, man.
So how did you guys all meet up?
Let's see. Well, the finding David DeSilva, our bass player, is sort of a funny story, I guess. We were looking for a bass player. This would have been end of 2009 or beginning of 2010, and we're calling around, doing the auditions, same old story, looking around, couldn't find the right guy, a little hesitant to go with a couple people that we had tried, didn't know if we would find anybody better. And finally, last-ditch effort, we called a guitar center over the hill in San Jose, sort of near where we live, and we said, hey, of any metal sort of influenced bass players that we could audition? They go, well, nobody like that works here right now, but we did just fire a guy that plays in a Black Sabbath tribute band. And so I said, oh my God, yeah, give me his number. So we ended up calling him, and the rest is history. He was the last guy we auditioned, and we've been hanging out for 9 years. So that's the story on Dave. And then Kaon, he came to us through a mutual friend, like I said, 4 or 5 years ago. And he's been an awesome welcome addition to the band, too. So he jumped on right after we recorded the previous record, Calling the Week. And then he toured on that whole record with us for 2-3 years. And then this album that just came out, Beneath the Dream, it came out on February 15th. And we just, that was the first one where he got to write and record with us from the beginning of the album cycle. So, and now we're touring on that. So he's been with us for a couple albums, too. So all is well.
So how's the response been for Beneath the Dream?
Well, it's still very fresh still, Like I said, it's been out since February 15th, so it's only been, a month now. And this is our first full-scale tour that we started on March 1st in Southern California, and now we're out here on the East Coast. But it's been good so far, we're doing a lot of stuff like this, getting feedback from people, doing radio, promotional stuff, getting some album reviews to come in now. And then, most importantly, playing the live shows and putting the new music in front of people and seeing how they respond. And, we can always kind of gauge it against the response that we got for all the stuff that we played off the last record. And I think this has been good, man. I think it's an improvement. Obviously every band's going to say that the latest record they just made is the best one, of course. But we're proud of what we have here, and we're looking forward to showing more and more people and, see what the response is like.
So on the 4 dates you did so far with Anvil, have you been selling a lot of CDs? Yeah, we have. We got some new T-shirts and a couple other new items that we haven't sold before in the past. So, that end of things is going well. It's it's doing its job, working up enough gas money to get from city to city, buy us a few meals along the way, etc. But, it's been good. So far we've done, Kent, Ohio, Newport, Kentucky, Westland, Michigan, just outside of Detroit, and Chicago. And they've all been good so far, so we're happy. Yeah, I know you guys just played Reggie's in Chicago.
Yeah, great venue. Really happy to get back there. That was fun.
Was it a pretty good crowd turnout?
Yeah. It was Saturday night, so the Saturday before St. Patrick's Day. There was a lot of festivities in the city in terms of parades and pub
pub crawls and whatever else some of the locals were telling us about that night at the venue. But but despite all the distractions, yeah, it was still a pretty good crowd. Very cool club, like I said, and yeah, I mean we're already looking forward to the next time we play that place.
So tomorrow you play Virginia?
Richmond, Virginia, yeah, at a club called, I believe it's called the Canal Club, but we've never played there before, so we're eager to check it out.
Then I know in April you're coming to the Milwaukee for the NYDM Spring Bash.
Oh yeah, right. I can't remember the venue, but I'm going to trust you that if it's on the schedule, that's where we're going to in Milwaukee.
Yeah, I believe it's Garibaldi's. Oh,
yes, that sounds right.
Yeah, it's always an awesome fest up there that Randy Kastner puts on.
Cool, man. And where are you located?
We're in Illinois, right by the Wisconsin border.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Nice. Maybe we'll see you.
Hopefully, man.
Right on. Yeah, should be fun.
So with the Beneath the Dream album, how long did it take to record that album?
The actual recording of it didn't take as long as some of the other phases. I think the writing took longer than we would have liked because we were sort of integrating. Like I said, this is our first album integrating the influence, and the writing contributions of our drummer Keon. So that took a little longer than the last record, maybe. But the actual recording, we recorded down in LA with producer Mike Klink again, just like we did with the previous record. And so we had a level and familiarity with Mike that we were, already accustomed to. So there wasn't a big issue in terms of getting to know anyone. But he has a busy schedule, and we were still doing some one-off shows here and there. So all in all, I'd say a few months off and on, not continuously. We'd kind of go down for a couple weeks and do drum tracks and then go back home. And then, another week we'd come down for a few days and do some guitar solos, and vocals. So we kind of did it in sections a little bit. It got spread out a little bit just due to everyone's schedules, but overall not too painful.
That's cool, man.
Yeah.
So now you guys are on EMP, right?
We are on EMP for this album. David Ellison's label.
Yep. I know my good friends out here, Wrath, are on that label.
Who is it?
Wrath from Illinois.
Oh, yeah. Oh, right. Okay. Cool. Yeah, well, hopefully we can cross paths with a lot of these label mates that we have now.
Yeah, that'll be cool if you guys do some shows of Wrath sometime.
I would love that. The more shows, the better, man. However we can spread the net wider,
Yeah. So how is it touring with 2 3-piece bands together, man? Guys ever done that before with another 3-piece band?
Yeah, it's cool, man. The Anvil guys and us, day one, as soon as we met each other, we were kind of joking, like, this is so cool, man. We don't have that much gear. We don't have that many guys running around. Just a couple of, just old school hard rock, heavy metal power trios, that's kind of cool. I think that's the first time that we've done it like this, and I'm trying to think of a lot of the tours we've been on in the past. I'm sure I'm forgetting something, but yeah, this is sort of unique to have, just 2 trios, and then of course Don Jameson on the bill as well. So there's a minimum amount of gear for a full tour package. It's kind of nice.
Yeah. So now, how'd you guys come up with the name Archer Nation?
Okay, well, for a long time, to be honest, the band was just simply Archer. It was just one word. We did a bit of a rebranding in the beginning of 2016 after touring all of 2015, like for 9 months out of 2015, with that previous record called Calling the Week. And then early 2016, we kind of circled the wagons, and we just, in the age that we live in now, with the the internet and the Google search optimization and trying to compete with billions of other bands on the web that are vying for people's attention, and everybody's streaming everything under the sun, it's just, we felt like we had to separate ourselves from the pack a little bit in terms of being able to be found easily on the internet. If you type in one word of Archer and just Google that, our band is not going to be the first thing or even the 10th thing to come up necessarily, And we already, our website has always been archernation.com, and all of our social media handle stuff had already been Archer Nation anyways. So it was an easy transition for us. We just decided, hey, let's add Nation to the merchandise, the t-shirts, the album cover, everything. Let's just include it more formally so that now we have 2 unique words. One phrase that is not, relevant to a TV show or a brand of, Electronics or whatever the hell else would be out there, or other bands called Archer or whatever, So that's why we changed it to Archer Nation. But originally, the Archer thing, we just thought it was cool when we were teenagers in high school, to be honest. It was a cool name. Our friends would chant it, and we would do little local shows, and it just kind of stuck,
Yeah, the only other band I can think of with anything Archer in it is the band Unleash the Archers.
Yeah, that's funny you mentioned them. I mean, obviously they're on my radar because we share a word in our name. And I saw a guy wearing an Unleash the Archer shirt at Reggie's actually the other night. And I said, "Oh, dude," I made a comment about that like you just did to him, and he was like, "Oh yeah, they're my buds. They're real cool, blah blah blah." It's like, man, small world, So yeah, I am aware of them as well. I've never met them though.
Yeah, they're a pretty cool band.
Yeah, right
on. So now, I've heard of someone like put a question mark after it. They said, for you guys, Megadeth Jr., what do you think about that?
Oh, you mean like online, some comment or something?
Yeah, like you guys are Megadeth Jr.
I mean, it could be something much worse, Junior, Personally, that doesn't bother me at all. I mean, I think the influence, on a personal level for me, Dave Mustaine, and also the sound of the music and the band as a whole, the influence of Megadeth in general, I think, those are welcome comparisons to me, I don't mind it at all. I mean, hell, sometimes if we have a little extra time in the set, night to night on this tour, sometimes we throw in a Megadeth song just for fun to get the crowd going. So I totally welcome the Megadeth thing. And obviously the connections are there more formally, too. Mike Klink produced Rust in Peace. He's our producer on the last two records. Now we're on David Ellison's label, so it does kind of tie back in several ways there.
Yeah, I was watching on YouTube where you guys were doing Tornado of Souls.
Right, exactly. That's what I'm talking about. Yeah, I mean, we did that a bunch in Europe when we opened for Queensryche or Annihilator on a couple different runs. Doro as well over there. Because, there's so many heavy metal fans over in Europe. Really, really strong presence, especially Germany and some of those other countries. But, so yeah, I mean, we love Tornado of Souls. We love Megadeth. We love Dave Mustaine's writing, playing, etc. So, why not? I mean, it's always been a big influence in the band.
So how'd you guys go over with the Queensryche fans?
Actually, Queensryche was a good fit, honestly, because we have a couple kind of shreddy little progressive elements, not a ton, but enough to sort of make sense with a band like Queensryche, and at the end of the day, I don't sing anything like Todd La Torre or Jeff Tate before him, obviously, but I can't, but no, it was a good fit, I thought it went over well. I mean, we toured with them for a month in Europe, and the crowds were real fun, real responsive, I would totally do that again.
So do you have any plans to go back to Europe this year?
That's in the works. I mean, we definitely want to. It is, exponentially more expensive to get the band over there and to get a tour going over there than it is for us to drive around our own country. But, the responses and the shows that we've seen over there in the past 3 years since we started going over there more and more in 2015 have been really good, and we still have a lot of people saying, "Hey, when are you coming back to Switzerland?" or "Hey, Belgium, Germany, France, whatever," so we do really want to get back there. I don't have any specific details yet. We're kind of still looking around, working with our booking agency and seeing what comes up, but, this summer or even this fall, that would be awesome if we could do that.
Oh, yeah, metal's still huge down over there.
Oh, God, yeah, it's so cool, man. It's just like, it's heaven for a band like us, or just fans of this music, just in general, to go over there and see how much support there is for that kind of stuff still.
So after the tour at Anvil, you have anything else planned yet?
It's kind of the same answer in the sense that we're looking for, the next thing to do. This tour is going to wrap up April 28th, but it ends in Massachusetts, and we live in California. We're going to spend a week or two playing independent club dates on the way back. So we probably won't be back at home until at least a week or two into May. So I assume we'll stay home for May, and then either June or July we'll roll out again, and hopefully either go to Europe or have a fun summer tour that we will have landed in the U.S. again. So
I don't know exactly, but we'll be very busy this year because the record just came out. So I imagine we'll be gone pretty much the whole year.
Right. So now, let me ask you this, Dylan. At what age did you start playing guitar?
That would be, let's see, a few months before my 12th birthday.
So now, were you self-taught or you took lessons?
Oh, well, I come from a musical background anyways. I mean, my dad has been a lifelong guitar player, so he was the one that initially taught me a couple songs. And it just kind of evolved from there, you know. I learned from him a little bit, and then I got my own guitar, and I kept playing. I fell in love with a couple bands that really inspired me to learn songs and get good enough to play along, and then, you know, you meet a couple kids in school, and then as far as instruction goes, I did have, you know, a few private teachers over the years, one of which would be, you know, the guy that introduced me to a lot of my favorite players even to this day, especially on the rock and metal side of things. And then once I graduated high school, I did attend GIT. I went to Musicians Institute in Hollywood for their program when I was 19. I finished that, and that was the last, you know, heavy formal instruction I had. But so yeah, you know, off and on teachers and school, and you know, just playing on your own and picking up everything you can, man. You know, I mean, it's a never-ending process, really.
Yeah. So what band did you first get into when you started playing guitar?
Well, you know, I would have been, you know, 12 years old, so this would have been 1997, 98, and so my first band was actually Nirvana, believe it or not, because the songs were easy to play, they were really catchy, I was totally obsessed with all the music that Kurt wrote, and I could play along to them, like it was all power chords, I could just jam along. I must have consumed and learned almost every single song that they ever wrote, you know, and then it evolved from there. I mean, the first song, my dad taught me a couple Beatles songs, banged around on some Green Day or, you know, Tool or, you know, I don't know, whatever, but Smoke on the Water, whatever, you know, and then it evolved from there. But yeah, Nirvana was one of those bands really early on where it was a perfect mixture of stuff that was easy enough to play and stuff that was really inspiring to a 12-year-old kid. So that would be the answer to that.
So at what age did you start getting into more technical stuff?
That would be probably a year or two after that. I would say for the first year or so, I was just, you know, getting a handle on what was going on and what the hell, how to play chords, etc. But when I was, let's see, probably 13 or maybe even 14, somewhere right around there, I hooked up with a teacher in Santa Cruz where we live to this day. And he introduced me to guys like Randy Rhoads, you know. And so he kind of opened the floodgates for that. Judas Priest, Iron Maiden, Black Sabbath, you know, Metallica, Guns N' Roses, the list goes on, you know. And so that's where the heavy stuff started coming in when I was probably 13 or 14.
Yeah. So what guitar players besides Randy Rhoads are influential to you?
Oh, man. Gosh. Well, I mean, you know, favorite guys would be, you know, Tony Iommi's way, way, way up there. I love Black Sabbath to death, always will.
I know you like Dimebag.
Oof, I mean, how do you not? Yeah, everybody's got to love Dimebag, of course, yeah. He's way up there on the list, too. You know, as far as rock and metal goes, and I really enjoyed a lot of the 80s, you know, kind of shred side of things, whether it was Paul Gilbert, Marty Friedman, Yngwie, you know, a lot of those guys. Richie Kotzen, I mean, God, there's so many good guys that were kind of in all those bands at that time. But then there's other guys too. I mean, I could listen to Stevie Ray Vaughan all day long. You know, I mean, there's people in every genre that can be really inspiring if you look for them. You know.
Oh yeah, definitely, man.
Yeah, Richie Blackmore. I mean, I could talk about this all night. You know, don't get me started on guitar playing and stuff, but. Yeah, man, there's a lot of guys out there, but Randy was at the head of the pack initially, but then there's so much stuff after that, too.
Yeah, I saw the pictures of where you guys visited Dimebag's grave.
Oh, yeah. Well, you know, yeah, that was tough. I mean, we toured with Hell Yeah in 2016 for a lot of shows, and, you know, ended up obviously getting to know Vinny and hanging out at his house.
coming over for barbecues, pool parties, and whatever. And tragic, man. He's gone. So it's like we had to go back there. And now that he's laid to rest right next to Dime, obviously you got to go pay your respect. You know, that was the first time we'd been in Dallas since he passed away, so we had to go.
Yeah. So for you, how many bands have you played in before Archer Nation?
Archer was the first band I ever founded, man.
Really?
So, yeah. So, one and done. I mean, technically, like, when we're home, I mean, you know, myself and especially Dave and Kaon as well, actually, you know, we'll all play. You know, we teach. We're at home. And we'll play. We'll fill in with cover bands, you know, tribute bands, whatever. Maybe even other original bands subbing in. You know, anything we can do to sort of make some money and gain some musical experience along the way. You know, so not to say that I haven't ever played with anyone else, but Archer is the first band, original band that I ever, you know, founded, and we're still going. So it's kind of cool.
So how's your hometown fan base in Santa Cruz, California?
It's good, man. It's good. It's been a trip to be doing this same thing, you know, in a way for long enough to have us all go from being, you know, 15, 16-year-old kids in high school moshing around in these little rec halls to now we're all like 30, 35, you know. But, no, it's great, man. We just did the CD release show on February 15th in Santa Cruz, and it was really fun. Played at the Catalyst, which is you know, sort of the premier rock spot for bands to play at in our hometown. So it was good, man. The hometown crowd is hanging in there. They're doing just fine.
That's cool, man. So you guys plan on doing any music videos for the album?
Well, we put the first one out already. We did for I Am the Dawn. That one came out, I think, maybe a day or so after the album release. Yeah, so people check that one out on YouTube. The single's called I Am the Dawn. It's actually going to radio this week as well. It should be on Sirius and a bunch of other places. That video is already out, and we got a couple more videos in the works, lyric video here and there. And, you know, I think actually, since the I Am the Dawn video has been out for about a month, I feel like we'll probably drop the next one in the next, you know, at least in the next week or something. Not very much longer from now.
That'd be cool, man.
Yeah. You got to keep promoting it, you know, anything you can do to, you know, put out more content and try to catch people's eye, you know, because it's very competitive out there. There's, like I said earlier, there's billions of bands vying for everyone's attention, and it's hard to rise to the top and be seen amongst the din, so to speak.
So what bands out there would you guys love to tour with?
Oh, man. Am I being realistic, or am I just totally dreaming?
No, realistically.
Realistically, okay. You know, I don't know if Megadeth is realistic. I honestly don't. Maybe that falls in the dreaming category, but obviously that would be a big one for me and for the guys too. But God, there's so many. You know, there's a lot of great new music too, and younger bands as well. You know, but you know, my heart lies with a lot of other stuff. Like I'd love to play with like some other Bay Area bands, like you know, a Death Angel or Testament, or you know, or a younger band like Havoc. You know, or gosh, I mean, there's a lot of good ones. I mean, some of the coolest shows that we've ever played are with bands that are not metal at all. You know, like we did a show in Santa Cruz a few years ago opening for Living Color that was just mind-blowing and awesome show. And it somehow worked, you know, us playing right before them. It was so much fun, man. So, I don't know. I think it could work a lot of different ways. We just want to keep playing.
Yeah. Get yourself out there, man.
Yeah. And it's like, for us, I mean, or for any band, really, it's like, yeah, obviously you want to play with bands that are like, you know, oh, it kind of sounds like, you know, they belong together or whatever. That makes a lot of sense. People come to see this, they'll also like this, you know. I get that. Totally, that's an aspect. But on the other side of the coin, sometimes it's like, well, if you play with bands that are already very much in the same subgenre of metal or whatever as you, then you're not necessarily exposing yourself to a different fan base as much as you would be as if you were playing with a band that brings different kinds of people that wouldn't normally attend a show that's all about your style of music. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, you know, sometimes it's, you know, it's safe and it's always a good idea to play with, you know, it's like we toured with Annihilator. We toured with, you know, Queensryche or whatever, you know, or be it Black Label Society was a good one for us over the years to tour with. But on the other hand, sometimes we do want to play with Living Color or INT or whatever because there's other fans out there, you know. So I think it can kind of go both ways.
Yeah, that's another good guitar player, man. Dave Menichetti, man.
Oh my God, love him. He still sings really, really well, and into his 60s, man. He's YNT. I mean, obviously they're from our area as well, so they're kind of like hometown legends to everybody that grew up a couple generations before us back there. So we've opened for them in Santa Cruz and in a couple other places many, many times. Yeah, Dave Menichetti's still the real deal, man. It's great to see.
Yeah, that's awesome, man.
Mm-hmm.
So now, for you, Dylan, what's been your fondest memory of being in this band so far?
Oh man, wow, what a question. Let's see. Fondest memory of being in this band. You know, gosh. I mean, there's a few that pop up, I guess, into my head. The very first tour that we went on in 2009, we were opening for Black Label Society on the West Coast and through Canada for a few weeks. And so the first time I got to hang out with Zach, he was one of my idols as a kid too. So first time I got to hang out with Zach, I was like, man, like my little band, you know, enabled me to be on tour with one of my heroes. Like that is so effing cool, you know. So stuff like that. I think hanging out with Vinnie Paul was another one of those moments where you're like, damn, like, we're actually doing something, you know. Like we must be a legitimate band in some people's eyes, or we wouldn't be on this tour, we wouldn't be doing these things, and people wouldn't be appreciating our music. So I think it's that kind of stuff, you know. You have these kind of landmark little moments where you realize that you're in a situation that's afforded to you by all your hard work in the band, you know. I mean, and there's really no better feeling than that, I guess, regardless of what sort of work you're in, maybe. But, you know, so I think it's that kind of stuff for the most part.
Yeah, you know what they say, man, hard work pays off.
Yeah, and it sure is hard work, you know, doing the band thing in 2019. We're not doing it for the money, doing it for the love of the game, so to speak.
Yeah, that's what they say these days. If you're gonna start a band, don't be in it for the love of money. You gotta love the music, man.
Oh man. Yeah, we get to go off on that the rest of our time on the phone together. Maybe we shouldn't.
Yeah. So, what do you think the pros and cons of the music business are?
Oh man, you're gonna have to give me a few minutes to think of the pros here. The cons are too easy. The cons are living in a van, being broke through your whole life, eating at McDonald's and truck stops because you don't have any money, never taking a shower. The list goes on with that. Obviously the pros, yeah, like we were saying, the pros are just being able to play, and the best part about doing this, the payoff, so to speak, even though it's not monetary, is playing in front of fans, feeling that appreciation, feeling the recognition and the transfer of energy and the whole live sort of audience participation aspect, you know, getting on great tours, playing in front of big crowds in Europe, you know, having a blast, being recognized as a cool band, selling merch, and having people come up to you afterwards and say, man, you really kicked ass tonight, dude. I never heard of you before tonight, but I showed up early enough to catch your set. You guys were killer. I'm a fan now. You know, I mean, that's why we're here, right? That's why we're driving across the country 10 times a year. So I guess that's the pro.
Yeah, watch it, man. Maybe the tour invaders are going to catch up with you guys and video your van.
The what?
You know, you ever watch that thing at the tour invaders where they go inside people's touring vehicles?
No, I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, it's like on YouTube. You look for tour invaders. They'll go inside people's touring vehicles, like a bus or a van or what. They might catch up with you guys one day.
Oh man, hey dude, if they bring some sandwiches or something, they're welcome to come on board, dude.
Maybe.
Whatever, man. Bring gifts. You know, help us out here. You can hang on the bus all you want.
So now, you have any funny or embarrassing moments?
Oh yeah, sure. You mean like on stage and stuff?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh gosh. I think the most recent really dumb one was we were playing in Sweden opening for Queensryche at the end of 2016. first time to Sweden. I was so excited. I got some Swedish heritage. We were playing in Stockholm. It was a beautiful, beautiful place. And the venue was cool, but on my side of the stage, so stage left, there was a hole, kind of like this gap in the stage between the end of the stage, like the side of the stage, and the monitor guy who was in this little pit with his soundboard. And, you know, the whole day they're like, dude, even all the venue staff, they were really polite about it. They're like, hey, you know, there's this little X that we drew on the ground, like make sure that when the lights go down and you run out on stage and it's dark that you don't fall in this hole, you know, like don't step in this one little gap. Oh, yeah, no problem. And then, of course, like the intro music hits, I try to run out all badass like a big rock star, don't look where I'm going, step in the pit, and just like fall, fall off the side of the stage, and everybody can see me. And it's the very first thing they see of our band, you know. The Queensryche is watching. Just the dumbest thing, man. And then the other guys are like, they can't even see what happened to me. They just like hear like the guitar is playing for half a second, then it cuts out, and I fall over, and they're like, "Where'd Dylan go?" You know, it's so stupid. And one of our main roadie guys that was traveling with us had to like hoist me up out of the hole and like pat me on the ass and go get him, kid, try it again. And I run back out there and just like keep doing the song. It's just, oh man, you know. But you do this long enough, and some Spinal Tap level stuff is going to happen to anybody. You know, it's like it's just the nature of live performance. Something's going to go wrong at some point. You know, so it's okay.
Yeah, goes with the territory, man.
Oh, absolutely, and I got some other stupid ones too. But yeah, that's the most recent one.
So, what's been your favorite tour?
Oh my gosh. My favorite tour. Oh man. That's really hard. I mean, all the ones that I've named so far, like Hell Yeah, Doro, Annihilator, Queensryche, Black Label, they're all so special. They're all so cool in their own ways. But spending 3 straight months in Europe, 2 months with Annihilator, a month in Doro, that was a really cool experience to be immersed in the whole European culture and play that many shows for that long without coming home. But then I could say that Hell Yeah was sick because we just hung out with one of our idols, Vinnie Paul, like every single day, you know? So there's that too. Or I could say that hanging out with Zakk Wylde and Black Label, going to Europe with them. You know, I don't know. That's a tough one.
All right. So who writes all the lyrics in the band?
Historically, that would be me, although on this last record especially, our bassist David De Silva contributed more lyrics than he ever has in the past, which was totally cool. I welcome that. You know, I've always believed that, you know, a band is really at its strongest when it's the sum of its parts and not just a singular guy telling everybody else what to do. So, De Silva and I hooked up, and he contributed a lot of lyrics. You know, there's actually one song on the record called Severed that he wrote all the lyrics for, which was completely unprecedented. He had never done anything like that before on previous work that we'd done together. So that was cool. So I'd say mostly me, but De Silva has contributed more and more, you know, over the years, and this last record shows.
Who writes all the music?
That one's even more sort of collaborative. You know, obviously I'm writing all the guitar riffs and stuff, and then I'm bringing a lot of the stuff to the table, or De Silva will write a riff on the bass. He's got a couple ideas or some kind of song structure in his head, and then he'll present something. So the seeds of it is usually like, okay, I got a couple great guitar riffs or riffs that I like or whatever. Let's build around that. Or Dave will do the same thing. So I would say, you know, obviously myself, and then Dave, and then actually I must say, you know, even Keon, our drummer, Keon Mohini, he can play some guitar too. And so he actually, you know, came up with a couple cool guitar riffs that we used for a song called Division. We kind of built around that. So, you know, I like to invite as much collaboration as possible, and then that way we have more to choose from in terms of what we think is the best stuff that we're going to use for the next record.
Now, did you guys have any leftover songs that didn't make the record?
Yes. Yeah, we had a few. You know, because Mike is our producer, Mike Klink. He's always like, you know, he doesn't want to. I mean, this record ended up having 8 songs, which is fine, but you know, he wants to hear 20 songs, right? And then we whittle it down. So yeah, there's a few. You know, I don't know if they'll get used down the road or not. If they do, that'd be cool. If they don't, though, that's totally fine. You know, I mean, it's hard to tell what kind of headspace we're going to be in a year or two from now when the next record's out. You know, what kind of stuff we want to be writing or whatever. So we'll see.
Now, do you write any lyrics when you're on tour?
A little bit, you know. Sometimes when we're traveling around and doing tours, you know, you're kind of so in that mode that, you know, we don't do a lot of creative writing while we're in tour mode as much as some other bands maybe. But as far as lyrics go, yeah, sometimes, you know, I've always kind of, you know, formed lyrics. Sometimes I write them as like poetry first, sort of, and then they start to take shape in terms of melody and phrasing and like, oh, this lyrical concept, this whole theme, you know, this idea that I'm talking about in this sort of poetry form stuff that I wrote 6 months ago, oh, that'll fit great with this music I just wrote, you know. Sometimes they end up coming together organically, but yeah, you know, you always got your notepad and, you know, jot stuff down, or, oh, that was a cool song title, or, oh, that phrase is kind of inspiring. So, you know, a little bit here and there while we're out here, yeah.
So, what are your top 3 metal bands?
Oh, my God. Sabbath. Pantera. Megadeth. But that, oh, man, I don't know. Judas Priest? Can I have another one?
Sure. Why not?
Yeah, that's tough. I'm not going to overthink it. I'm just going to go with what I said there.
Yeah, nothing wrong with getting Priest in there, man.
Yeah, I do love Priest a lot, you know, and there's like 10 other bands I want to talk about, but just right off the bat, you know, let's just go with that. And for Sabbath, I really need Ozzy too, because I got to have my Randy Rhoads and my Jake and my Zach Wild.
Yeah. So now the song "Division" off the new album. What's "Division" about?
Division of the people. You know, it's not really like a super political song per se. It's more like an anti-political song, maybe. You know, it's just saying that there's no right side or wrong side, blue, red, black, white, day and night, whatever. It's all bullshit, and we shouldn't be fighting over who's right and who's wrong, because it's not working. It hasn't worked on either side for a long time. So that's what the division thing is all about.
Now the rest of the album, what influenced you to write all the rest of the lyrics? What the lyrics? What are most of the songs about?
Well, Division actually is the only one that touches on anything like that. The rest of the album, not everything else, but a lot of the lyrics for the other songs on the album are sort of loosely tied together with a lot of this sort of, I don't know, I don't want to say like philosophical, it sounds kind of nerdy, but, you know, like you ever listen to like Death, the band?
Yeah. Yeah,
so kind of this kind of deep, like, meaning of life, kind of existentialism sort of stuff. You know, there's one song the song that De Silva wrote the lyrics for called Severed. That's about, you know, the struggle of Sisyphus, can't say his name now, Sisyphus, the one like pushing the rock up the hill and stuff,
right,
letting it fall back down, right? So, you know, there's like some nihilist views in there. You know, Dave reads a lot of stuff like that. Psychology, I Am the Dawn is about like sort of, you know, subconscious issues that dominate your life. So there's a lot of like internal struggle sort of stuff. I mean, you know, and it kind of touches on different aspects of that in different songs, I think. But I would say at least 5 or 6 of the 8 songs are kind of have that thread woven through them a little bit.
That's cool, man.
Yeah, you know, I mean, you know, look, like, it's tough. You want to write, like, oh, yeah, we're rock and roll all night, party every day. Like, hell, that's a really catchy thing. People will sing along to that for sure, you know?
Yeah.
But, you know, we also want to, like, okay, let's dig slightly deeper. Like, some of these songs we want to have a little more deeper meaning, be a little more thoughtful, you know, I guess. So, you know, it's kind of a balance that you try to strike, I guess, because sometimes you do just want to, you know, bang your head or whatever, you know, write some phrase that's just perfectly simple and accessible. So, I don't know.
Now, the title track to the Calling of the Week album, what is Calling of the Week about?
Okay. That was a different mindset entirely, actually, because, you know, like, albums are always these snapshots into your life. They're like little time capsules, right? So, Calling the Week was inspired with a little more angst, a little more rage, maybe, and that dealt with, at the time, Dave and I were dealing with like a Spinal Tap level of drummer issues in terms of different guys being in and out, just a revolving door, guys that weren't able to commit, different issues, they're there, they're not there, they quit, they come back. So, and we just grew endlessly frustrated with dealing with all that stuff. And so it was really difficult to finish writing that record, finish recording that record. I mean, so much so that Culling the Week, actually, of the 8 songs on Culling, half of them are recorded by one drummer and half of them are recorded by another. You know, we couldn't even get one guy to do the full sessions. So, you know, Culling the Week, those lyrics in that particular song especially is about, like, you know, culling the week, like, trimming the fat, like, no more bullshit. Like, we just need, okay, if it's just going to be Dave and I right now, let's just keep this going and do what we got to do, and the pieces will fall into place. But culling the week refers to being so sick and tired of other people's bullshit and frustrations and, you know, non-committal stuff and lying and, you know, all that kind of, like, in and out uncertainty stuff. It's just like, okay, get all that off the table. Call the week, move on. You know, so that's kind of, you know, a glimpse into what that was about.
All right. Well, Dylan, I want to thank you very much for taking time to do an interview, man.
Oh, no problem. Thanks for having me, Dave. It's fun, man. You know, I've been pacing around a flying J-truck stop talking to you the entire time, so...
aside those that stand in the way of what you seek. Send them down the line, doomed to die. It's a calling of the weak. Poison leaks begin as a cancer from within. Nothing left to save. Toying with my life as if all I've got is time. Abusing what I gave. Rise up from the past, cast aside those that stand in the way of what you seek. Send them down the line, doomed to die. It's a calling of the weak. Aside those that stand in the way of what you see.